Hello, this is week 12, and we are talking about aggression and bullying. Go ahead and share the screen here, and we're just going to talk about this for a few minutes. Unfortunately, all of you probably have seen aggression and bullying either in your own school experiences or as teachers or students in classrooms. You know, aggression is always a problem-solving behavior. It's a negative problem-solving behavior, but in the perpetrator's mind, they are solving a problem of some kind. Even if they tell you, I don't know why I did that. They know, trust me. So there are really two kinds of aggression. The first kind is instrumental. You know, this is the kind where accidents happen. You know, kids are trying to get a toy that someone else has and they knock over someone's building structure, or they tear someone's paper by accident, or they bump into someone because they're racing to get to somewhere else. The goal here is not to hurt anybody. It's an accident. The next kind of aggression is hostile. And this is the kind that really comes from anger. And the point is to hurt somebody and inflict pain and injury. And there are many causes for aggression. A lot of the causes could be anger. The child could have been treated aggressively by others. Child could be abused in the home. Their child may just not know a better way of responding. That child may not have been taught a better way of responding. And this is where teachers can step in and be very, very important in helping that child learn better ways of coping with their feelings than being aggressive. So aggression oftentimes is viewed during transitions, because this is kind of an unpredictable time and everything is kind of helter-skelter and no one's really paying attention to them. So this is a time when children may lash out. One of the ways to prevent that would be to have a predictable schedule so children know exactly what's coming next. And we've talked about that predictable schedule, and you've all made one. And I think you're well on the road of eliminating this unpredictability as a reason for aggression. Also give a warning before a transition time. If you know that they only have 5 more minutes before you say, I'm gonna have you clean up the centers, well then say 5 more minutes till clean up. It just, you know, gives them just that extra time to finish up whatever they're doing. Also have a predictable transition mode. I mean, have a get in line song, have them stand in line song, have them in ABC order, perhaps, when they get in line. Have a walk in the hall chant. Have a rule about keeping your hands at your sides or behind your back while you walk in the hall. Doesn't matter how you structure it. Have a structure. That's what matters. Other causes of aggression: children may have unmet sensory needs. It could be too much. It could also be too little. But if you have too much sensory input, some children may squeeze and kick and push. If they're feeling crowded, they're sitting on a carpet with everybody boxed in around them, maybe too much. And the only way they can think of getting rid of that is to be aggressive, to hit somebody. So one of the things you can do is you can get some little individual carpet squares. They're free if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's or some of the carpet stores, and they're getting rid of old samples. Just say, please, I'm a public school teacher. Could I have some of your samples before you throw them away? Allow children perhaps to move to the end of the line. You know, maybe by being boxed in the middle of the line is really uncomfortable for some children. And, you know, sometimes allow them to play alone at a table in a quiet part of the classroom, or work alone at a table. Not all children are comfortable working in groups with others, and they shouldn't be forced to do that either if that's what makes them uncomfortable. On the other hand, some children may not have enough sensory input. and they may act aggressively because they're just trying to touch people all the time. So provide some manipulative materials they can use for this need to touch and poke and jab. Play-Doh is great. How about some big squeezy balls, sandpaper to rub, shaving cream to work with, water, pudding, whatever it is, give them something to do with their hands. Positive guidance strategies, tell children what to do rather than what not to do. Example being, instead of saying, stop running, say, I need you to use your walking feet. That's an example of telling them what to do rather than what not to do. Another thing to do is proximity. If you know someone has difficulty holding themselves together, be near them. Sometimes just having the teacher right next to you is calming. And it also a lot of times prevents a child from reaching out and doing something they shouldn't be doing. The other thing you can do is use picture cues like you see down here. Picture cues are great because sometimes children get just a little bit overdosed on having the teacher tell them what to do. But if you have a ring, just a ring with laminated pictures of things that you wish them to do, like stand in line, be quiet, sit on the carpet, whatever it is. And if you just walk around and show them the picture, that could be worth 1,000 words. This is especially true for children who are on the spectrum, because they will respond much more positively to picture cues. And this website here, you can click on it and you can get these pictures for free. And also you can read stories about positive behavior. And I know we've talked before about persona doll stories, so I'm not going to belabor that, but we certainly can use those. This is a really nice Becky Bailey book on the fact that aggression and acting out doesn't get you anywhere. So if you want to listen to that, just go ahead and click here and you can hear the book. A positive guidance strategy for me is not requiring children to say, I'm sorry, because that just really teaches them to lie. They're not sorry. A lot of times children hurt somebody, whether it's on purpose or accident, and they're not sorry. However, if you, the teacher, steps in and says, say I'm sorry, and they go, oh, okay, sorry. Well, what has that taught the child? It's taught them that they can do pretty much whatever they feel like doing. And if they walk around and say, sorry, it's all erased. Really? So you're really teaching them to become a good liar, and they may not be sorry. So I never require that. Instead, teach children to help the injured child, help them rebuild their tower, help them do their picture if they've messed a picture up. Bring them a wet paper towel to hold on their boo-boo if they knocked them down. Whatever it is, allow them to make restitution. And this also helps the perpetrator retain some self-respect, because you don't ever want to label a child like, well, little Joe here, he is always the bad guy in class. Children kind of pick up on that. This is a good video on responding to anger and aggression. I highly recommend watching it, but I'm not going to do that now. You can do that on your own time. Then I want to talk for a minute about bullying. This is one of my favorite little pieces of the Christmas Story movie, and you can watch that on your own as well, because it's a great example of bullying in general. So when we talk about bullying, I'd like you to just think about doing a little hands-on activity with your children. Have them tear out a piece of paper from their notebook, swat at it, kick it, stomp on it, crumple it up as good as they can, and then have them smooth it out nice and smooth and say, I'm sorry. And then you can ask them, Did it erase all the scars on the paper? Well, of course not. And that's what people's heart feels like when they've been mistreated and bullied, and someone comes along and says, I'm sorry. Just the fact they said, I'm sorry, does not make it better. And people carry that hurt within them forever. So I'm hoping that little activity will help your children remember. You know, bullying is really one of the most overlooked problems in schools today. It's definitely around. And it was in my class, unfortunately. I'm sure it's in everybody's class. Bullies regularly harass about 1 in 10, but I think the statistics on that are way behind because it's underreported. So many people who have been victimized are embarrassed about it and they just don't report it. People sometimes say preschool problems are often the cause of early bullying behavior. That is false. Because although bullying behavior begins in preschool, high-quality preschool programs have been found to reduce the level of bullying rather than promote it. Violent scenes in children's television encourage bullying. That is definitely true. And numerous studies have confirmed that, unfortunately. Boys who are labeled as bullies by age 6 commit more crimes by age 24. True or false? True. One study found that 4 of every 10 boys who bullied others as children had 3 or more convictions by the time they turned 24. And when children are taught to come to adults about bullying behavior, there's more tattling in the classroom. False. Teachers need to define bullying and tattling. You need to really make sure your children know that bullying is something that's done deliberately to hurt somebody, whereas tattling is done deliberately because you're trying to get someone else in trouble. There's a big difference. And, you know, you might ask when you know Susie's coming to you and she's takes a deep breath and you know, here it comes. Say, are you trying to tell me someone needs help or are you trying to get someone in trouble? And you'll notice that most of the time they'll stand back and think for a second and usually they'll run off. You know, one of the things though that you need to watch for if you teach in early care, 4s and 5s, is the pre-bullying behaviors that really can start children on the road to trouble. One of those is grabbing. Now they all grab, trust me, but it's not normal to just consistently grab from a particular child. If you see one child that just consistently gets their stuff taken by one person, that really is a pre-bullying behavior that needs to be stopped. Telling secrets, again, that happens all the time. That's mostly with the little girls. And this also goes into calling each other silly names. A lot of them call each other silly names. And as long as the name is okay with the child being called the name, that's fine. However, when it's a hurtful name, you know, like Fatty and Four Eyes and, you know, things like that, and it's always directed to a certain child, you need to put a stop to it. That's really a pre-bullying behavior and it's going to get worse. You know, if someone always has to be the unpopular character in whatever they're acting out in the dramatic play center or outside on the playground, that can be a sign of bullying as well. If one kid always has to be the baby, or one kid always has to be the dog, that really can turn into emotional bullying. Something to watch out for. And I'll let you all read this on your own, but I can tell you that this is definite bullying behavior. And again, you will want to watch out and put a stop to that. Nicknames, as long as kids are happy with the nickname, that's fine. You know, if they call you Superman, who's going to object? However, there are a lot of nicknames, like you can see on this page, not such happy nicknames. Again, you can use literature. This is a great example here. There are lots of other books about bullying behavior and pre-bullying that you can use in your classroom. I highly recommend this particular video here. This is absolutely classic because poor old Big Bird, he wants desperately to join the Good Birds Club. However, the Good Birds are pretty much the biggest bullies you've ever seen. And Big Bird's too big for him, so he has to shrink himself down. And then poor old Big Bird's just too yellow for him, so he has to change colors. And then poor old Big Bird, his feet are too big, and so he has to get smaller feet. Well, in the end, he's just not himself anymore. He's been bullied into being some completely different bird. And it's very interesting to see what happens. If you're teaching pre-K or kindergarten, I highly recommend showing this to your students. And that's the end of the video. Now, to go back to our content here, at the end of this week, by the 6th of November, you will be turning in a link to your classroom webpage. If you need any help with that, you can always go back to week 10 and watch the video where I explain the classroom webpage. You can look back at the PowerPoint that goes with that. That includes a link to the free website I recommended, the Wix website. And it also has links to the teacher websites I used as examples. Not that I expect you to copy that in its entirety, but it sure does give you some good examples of what other people have done before you. So stop this here. If you have any questions about the web page assignment, please let me know and we'll do a quick Zoom. I highly recommend that before you send me your link, that you try it out on someone else, someone that's not on the NSU website maybe, so that they just put the link in and see if it works. Because it's really hard when I'm trying to grade and it says, you have no authority to get this website. Very frustrating, and then I need to contact you and have you resubmit. I hope you have a wonderful week. Let me know if you have any questions. Bye.